Hi, I'm Elena Kwan. I spent 2 years as a corporate associate at Kirkland & Ellis, and now I'm a legal product consultant bringing real-world legal experience into the products lawyers rely on.
Hi, I'm Toby Scott. I spent 7 years in practice, first as an associate at Blake Castles in Graydon, then as a partner at a boutique firm. Now I manage a team in legal knowledge engineering where we build tools to help lawyers do their work better.
Hi, I'm Sahar Syed. I spent 3 years as a corporate associate at Fogler Rubinoff, and now I'm a legal knowledge engineer.
My name is Corinne Geller. I am the Senior Director of Legal Knowledge Engineering at Litera. I previously was at Stikeman Elliott in Toronto in the Corporate Securities Group. The coolest thing about working at Litera on the Legal Knowledge Engineering team is how actual lawyers get to create products and skills for lawyers. I have been so amazed in the past little while with the team working on Lito, how we brainstorm all of the things we wish we had as lawyers, things that were just so frustrating. And then the team gets to go and build the form check skill, the NDA playbook skill. All of these things are tangible things that lawyers are building for other lawyers. We know what was a problem and we know how to make it better. Litera is built on years of history. We are not just an LLM wrapper. We combine an LLM with proprietary rules-based engine as well as algorithms that create the perfect combination to help lawyers do their best work. Lito is meant to be intuitive and very easy to use. It's supposed to replicate the workflows that lawyers are already doing and make it a really easy adoption to not have to learn an entire new workflow. Lito helps me raise the bar by doing less routine work and more high-value work.
Avaneesh, CEO of Litera, thanks for joining us today. We'll do a quick update on where we feel the space is headed, leveraging AI and how we fit in that equation. We built this video to really highlight our strength and experiences over time. The phrase legal knowledge engineer, you've heard from a lot of companies now. We've had this team with us for over 10 years. Kira was the first organization ever to build out this concept of legal knowledge engineers. And we've been investing in that group for the last decade and recently really increased the size of that organization. So it was a quick snapshot for all of you to see who is working with us on designing our products. What I'll share today is a lot of information I've gained the last year traveling around, and a lot in the last 100 days. As my team knows, I've been on the road meeting with chairs and partners and other CIOs globally, figuring out where are we headed, what's really impacting us as we move forward with this new technology. All of you are experiencing significant impacts to the firm and to the practice. There's a lot of noise that exists in the marketplace. We call this the Wild West of legal tech. The amount of new entrants in this space, how do you keep validating what's happening, the constant piloting of new technologies. Policy pressures are always at the forefront. Whenever I present this slide, something has always just happened. The first time I talk about policy pressures, I was in DC at ILTA and the National Guard had just shown up. How do partners even navigate that? How do they talk about the future of trade, the future of any issues? There's no stability there. And that's just not here in the US, right? That's globally as well. And then client expectations have gone up. We're a client of law firms. Our expectations have grown immensely over the last couple of years. We're sponsored by HG Capital, private equity fund. I can tell you their expectations of legal services have increased. And we're all looking for speed. We're all looking for a value that is not just price, but how quickly can we turn around work product? And then what do you do when you actually become efficient? When this AI actually works, what are you going to do with the time saved? Are you actually going to go out and find new matters? Are you going to do more training? That hasn't been solved yet. Competition has gone up significantly. If you're a very large law firm, you're not competing with mid-markets. If you're a mid-market law firm, you're competing with a startup firm. Because of the tools that are accessible, more folks can cover more practices of law without having to increase headcount. And then finally, the one that's become real in the last 100 days for me is this idea of how much work is shifting to in-house teams. historically, we've not seen them as a barrier or competitor to law firms, but now I would say they're moving a little bit faster, and they're starting to take on more work and take more of the work in-house. There are definitely some GCs out there that are trying to get down to $0 spend with outside counsel. Will that happen in the next 5 years? Probably not, but they're thinking about it. They're trying to get there, and that's going to be a material problem, not today, but I think over the next 3 to 5 years, you're going to see work type change that firms manage. So this is a perfect storm, right? This is what you or your management teams are working through every single day. And that's not unique to legal. Like Litera itself, as a software company, goes through very similar pressures every day, whether it's new competition, new entrants, models improvement and changes. We'll build something and then all of a sudden it's obsolete because the frontier model's gotten so strong. This is not unique to you, but it is something that if you don't recognize what's happening around you and why, you could get really behind the 8 ball. And then this has resulted in this chaos, right? This is from December. Legal Technology Hub put out their listings of all the Gen AI products that exist. It's gotten so big, they now have separated this out into different themes, right? There's an agentic AI one now as well. We're all over this map. I don't want to go through and circle where Litera sits, but we're spattered across this ecosystem, but that's a lot. How do you even validate what you're looking at is going to survive, right? How do you know something that has raised VC money is going to make it when the map is so complicated? And how many of these are actually different? Right? It's really hard to figure out where you want to be, and that's just a lot of brain time. So while the opportunity is rich, I think the complexities are really big as you design your ecosystem going forward. And then you fall in this phase, like, is it actually done? Like, are we actually past this point, and has the world moved on, right? We first started off 2 years ago where folks in your firms were asking you, can we get something quickly? Let's get moving, let's get Copilot, let's do something. And that was the urgency that we all felt. Even at Litera, we felt that. And then your boards, or even Litera's boards, asking, okay, what's the results? Have we saved headcount? Have we increased EBITDA? Have we increased growth rates? Same thing as all of you are figuring out. What is the real ROI of what we are doing? And then finally, does it really make an impact to the clients? Right? Are any of your clients actually experiencing a different relationship with you because of your leverage of AI? And I'll go so far as saying the honeymoon phase is over. There's a very scary thing that I've witnessed in conversations with partners of law firms that are senior, they've been around for a while. They almost don't care. They're trying to extract as much value they can, and by value I mean compensation, in the next 3 to 5 years, just in case their job is done. So when you have that demographic of people thinking about self-protection and how they're going to make sure they have enough wealth to survive, you're thinking about how do you innovate the practice of law. That's a big conflict of interest that's going to show up at many of your firms, that if it hasn't already, right? How much time is being spent in compensation committee meetings versus a Gen AI tech committee, right? So you can see already how much of the concerns sit of, is this already done? Is it already gone past the point of return? Let's figure out how we survive as people. But it goes beyond that, right? We have enough data now to suggest what is some real world examples of what's happening, right? All of you think, or your lawyers believe, that the firm is, can use the words, caring, empathetic. You ask clients, they don't feel that way, right? Again, I, as a client of a lot of law firms, can tell you, I don't think any of the firms I work with are caring or empathetic, right? They don't reach out to us ever with an idea. They never reach out to us to talk about our problems. We call them when we need them, but they've never given us any sort of direction of travel. They've never asked us how we're navigating H-1B issues. That stuff just doesn't happen, but yet I think firms believe they're doing this job. And then what's happening with the clients you've had for over a decade? Are they staying with you? Probably. They haven't left, but they're spending time somewhere else as well. Over the last 3 years, we've gone from 1 law firm to 4 or 5 that we work with. That first law firm has no idea how much we're spending somewhere else, and those firms have no idea how much we're spending amongst themselves. So all of that is happening in real time. And I don't think a lot of folks they worry about it, but they're not interested in solving that dilemma today. So that's the problem statement, right? And that's the issues that we face. I have this belief that we need to go back to the practice of law, right? We need to get people out of their computer screens and go back to where it started in a conversation, in a town hall, meeting your clients. Today I say we're still in the computer age where you have lawyers sitting behind a computer. I think the opportunity is having two people sit with no computer and having a conversation. The amount of stuff happening in the world today warrants us to push our best and brightest lawyers to go do something, right? Go to the Supreme Court and argue. Go represent the people that need access to justice. AI can unlock all of that, but right now we're still thinking about the business impacts to us, not what it means to the population at large. So for me, it's really pushing us to say, how do we get lawyers back to being lawyers? I practiced law for a handful of years, and I quit because I wasn't doing anything substantive. I was making someone else richer with business decisions. I wasn't making an impact. I didn't go to law school to sit there behind a computer screen doing red lines or comparisons. I really wanted to go make an impact, and that's why I left. I think we'll meet with Joe later. Sam, we all left the practice of law because it wasn't what was filling our bucket. We'd rather do something else that made an impact. And I think if we think about AI this way, we can survive, right? We can actually find a pivot to go something forward. And so we use these words called maniacal client service. In 2025, Litera was focused on customers, all of you. We called it maniacal customer service internally at Litera. But I think this applies externally to all of you as well. You may have heard me say this a few times. What does maniacal client service means? It means you're proactively reaching out to your clients and you're obsessive of communication, conversation, and results. You're not being reactive. You're not just making things move forward. You're really getting aggressive with your clients and saying, what can we do to make your experiences better? And I think that's where generative AI really can push us forward and has driven us to reinvent who we are, right? You've seen this new logo from us. You've seen the statement, raise the bar. It's not just a new way of repositioning. It's really who we believe we are. We're trying to really move the practice of law forward, and that's a nod to raise the bar and our new logo. But then when we talk to clients along the way, we ask them, how do you think Gen AI can help you really move forward? So we surveyed a bunch of partners and lawyers and asked them a few key questions about what tech do you use, why do you use it, and what's the value for your clients? And the results are pretty good, right? They say, if you can make technology that is 100% accurate, we'll use it. They're not going back to tech that's 85%, 90% good. They're kind of getting tired of having to recheck the model. They want to, at this point, some of them are like, just give us the right answer all the time. It needs to be embedded. So they're saying, we want the technology to live in Outlook or Word. We don't want to go to all these applications, all these front ends. We want it really part of our workflow. And it better make my life easier. If you can't prove to me that you're saving time, I have no desire of using any technology. And so we're already seeing now that if you don't do these three things, they don't want to use it. And they've been doing this for 2 years in pilots. How do you keep them engaged, right? How do you keep your end user really excited about the technology you made? Selfishly, we asked one last question of all these people. It said, what's your favorite tool today? Right? What's your favorite technology you use every day today? 100% said compare. That's such a, I did not think that that'd be the word. And they didn't know it was a Litera survey. We just asked that question and it said because it's trusted and it's accurate and it's fast. Right? So even all the Gen AI tools you invested in, your partners and lawyers are still referencing one of the oldest technologies that we have. How does Litera fit maniacal client service for all of you? This slide hasn't changed. So it's been the same slide for nearly a decade since I've been here. Our point of view is we want to help you present the right data. And right data for me is always your data first, right? Client data, firm data, partner's brain. That data to me is more important than third-party data. The right place will always be in Outlook, Word, and one simple web interface. We'll never ask you to go somewhere else. And then the right time. We're really pushing this idea of being proactive. You'll see a little bit of that in a quick demo later, or come down to our booth and look at it some more. We're now in a position where we can read the email coming in and take actions, right? We can say, wow, you have version 12 attached to an email. Let's go find version 11, run a comparison, and give you a summary all automatically, right? That's proactive. Or in business development, here are a bunch of signals in the marketplace that your partners care about. Here's the one that's really important, and here's an email we've drafted for you to go reach out proactively to your clients. So for me, right data, right place, right time unlocks that opportunity for maniacal client service. Over the last 30 years of Litera, we've really honed in on 3 different work streams: practice, manage, and grow. And each of these 3 buckets have a definition of the products and the features and workflows that we use, and they're all working together, right? So we've had years of M&A, significant amount of integrations have gone into it. Gen AI for us has unlocked the completion of the integration projects and has given us unified workflows. Data moves really nicely across these specific areas and amongst themselves. And we're going to work really hard the next 12 months to even harmonize this further. I think you'll see a big SKU reduction from Litera in the next 12 months as we harmonize even further these products and say, look, are they products or are they features? And condense it even more. When you get into manage, this is really about your data and protecting it and bringing it up, right? Foundation is the best of breed of knowledge management tool. The experience that it harnesses is significant, and it continues to evolve. That data is showing up throughout Litera's ecosystem because we know how important it is. And you'll see a lot of information coming up about how we see Foundation moving forward. We see this as a hub, right? We see all data coming here as much as possible. We're aggressively moving towards finding all kinds of new partnerships to bring data into Foundation and to bring Foundation data out. You'll see a lot of that in the coming quarters from us. And then finally, grow. I think this is the most important piece. Historically, the growth side of a law firm is a basic CRM. If all your firm cares about is a CRM, you should have a SQL database. If all you care about is a contact list for marketing to use for events, do the most easy thing. I think the CRM is an unlock. When you combine CRM with knowledge, you can really get aggressive and intelligent about your clients today and in the future. And then you tie in ERM, who knows who, the proactive outreach. To me, this is something that's really important. And I spend most of my time in the growth side of our business today because if we automate everything inside law firms, we have to backfill that with new matter creation. And most partners have no idea how to do business development. We're just not taught that workflow in law school. Not a single partner has ever been educated on how to actually be a rainmaker. Either you are one or you're not, right? You're not trained. So what do you do with the non-rainmakers? How do you make them reach out to their clients? And that to me is something I'm just really interested in solving. And we've been talking about a lot now in the marketplace. Today, Litera has 5 of the top 10 am law firms using us for growth tech, right? And that's a really good standpoint for us to be on to say, let's keep pushing this envelope further as we go down the line. And all of this for us is powered by Lito. So Lito is our agentic product that we launched 100 days ago. It covers our entire product suite, right? So we bring out all the skills from all of our products, put them on a simple web interface or embedded in Word or embedded in Outlook. And you get to leverage all the 30 years of rule-based engines with Lito. And it connects all the data together. And for me, what that does is it brings the current opportunity closer to the ancient times and allows folks to go back to having conversations. If we can leverage tools the right way and not just buying technology because you have to answer an RFP question of which AI product are you using. If you're actually buying tools to improve your firm, I think the reality is we can bring the practice of law back to where it used to be and not just be a check the box moment for all of us. So with that, I really want to discuss a bit about the connection of AI and the human elements of it. We'll bring up Joe from Gunderson. Joe's been a long-term a customer of ours. He's one of the early chief innovation officers in the legal space. I've known Joe for a long time. And I thought we would have a quick discussion about how Joe and the firm are seeing the intersection of AI and the practice. Real quick, how's the firm using AI today, and what are some of the products that you've been really excited about so far?
So we got into the AI game pretty early and almost by mistake. We were basically just trying to structure data from documents, and we didn't have, like most law firms that do a lot of transactional work, the cooperation of associates to give us all of that data. For whatever reason, we didn't have that culture. So we had a very small team that was running around and just by hook or by crook, trying to like find deals that close and go find the documents and manually structure the data. So we started playing around with an LLM powered tool back in like 2021. We were doing prompt engineering before we really knew that's what we were doing. So we started really early, and once we saw the power of what even the early generations of this technology could do, we were pretty hooked and really, tried to push forward quickly.
What was driving that early push? Was it really about internal opportunities, or is it about the clients day one? How are you thinking about those investments?
Both. So, I mean, when we think about like what are the moats that a law firm has and what's the value proposition of a law firm, there's a reason that clients choose to go to law firms that do a lot of the kind of work that the client is having them do. Right. They want someone who has the deal flow, who understands what the market is, can see, kind of across whether this is a good deal, a bad deal, can really advise them. And we historically have just done that heuristically.
Yeah.
Right? Like, what's market? I don't know. The last 3 deals that a partner can think of is market.
Yeah.
And there's such an obvious opportunity to do that in a much more data-driven way. And so we really wanted to pursue that, not just for the practice elements of it, being able to advise clients better, but also the business elements. How do we price better?
Right.
Can we price differently? All of those sorts of things.
So being early, how's that changed now in the last few years? Like what new ideation or new ways of developing products have you guys thought about, right? That was early.
Yeah.
You solved one unique, not pain point, but you create an opportunity there for your clients. How's that changed? Are you going faster now? Like how's that evolution of thought happening for you?
Yeah, I mean, we can't go fast enough. I don't think any of us can. It's the pace is absurd at this point. We've pursued a lot of different strategies. We've built things internally, and they lasted for a hot minute, and then we had to get rid of them because there's no way that we were going to kind of keep up with our very limited engineering capacity. So it's been a lot of experimentation. I think one of the best things that we did early on was while I think a lot of people, and I totally understand the instinct when this technology started coming out, we're looking for like, what's a specific use case that I can make this thing do and do it well? The accuracy, the perfection. Lawyers expect perfection. We went a different approach, and we basically said like, this thing's going to lie to you. It's going to be wrong most of the time, but it can do some really cool stuff, and you should try it out and just kind of experiment, because this is going to be the thing that you're going to need to know how to do to make it in the world in the future. And listen, not everybody did it, but enough did. And saw value out of it. I think that it got us moving in the right direction much faster than we would.
Are you seeing some of that fatigue set in now, though? Are you seeing some folks being like, all right, we've done enough testing. Let me go work.
It actually feels like it's accelerating. It feels like the opposite. There's definitely fatigue around the number of different solutions that we have. And frankly, a whole bunch of tools that we bought in the pre-Gen AI era now are all sort of growing into each other and building overlapping capabilities, and it's sort of unavoidable at this point that we have a bunch of tools that do a bunch of the same things, and nobody really knows why we bought that tool in the first place or what the kind of the problem that was solving for us was. So I think that's the major pain point. But like, I just had associates calling me yesterday saying they wanted to vibe code something on Claude to solve a problem. Like there's still a ton of interest.
Yeah. How do you solve the security and integration like lack of vibe coding, right? So I've been thinking about this.
Please don't vibe code associates.
Like vibe code's cool. Like you build new stuff, you can copy stuff, but it's not secure. It's not scalable. It has no integrations built into it. So you want the innovative excitement. You want the art of the possible to exist. But how do you also make sure it's safe and secure and protected?
Well, one, we don't let them use OpenClaw or the super dangerous things, despite I'm sure many of them wanting to. But really for us, we try to work with platforms that allow us to build things on top of it, and that are integrated with the suite of things that we have that kind of respect the permissions and the settings. The reality is that the associate who wants to vibe code something is the exception. Most people have a problem or something that they think could be better, and we work with them to try to come up with a solution.
Think about the meetings you have with management and the partners and managing partners. Are you seeing them talk more about what's the outcome now of this? Are you starting to get some of that
definitely
pushback?
Definitely. And I think, whereas the first couple of years of this were very much about just kind of experimentation and getting people exposed to it and trying it. Now I think we've moved very distinctly into a phase of what are the things that we do all the time that are big buckets of hours that we spend, where we think this technology can make a significant dent in changing the way that we deliver services to allow us to be better, to allow us to be faster, kind of all of the above.
Which of those metrics is it more important for the firm? Is it better quality, faster responses, increased billings, like, or decreased costs for your clients? Like, where do you think the index is right now?
Yes.
All of them at the same time.
Yeah, no, I mean, it truly, so much of the focus is on just efficiency. Can we be more efficient? And it's important, right? I mean, there are lots of things that lawyers do that are necessary evils that just were needed to get deals done, or, you know, to get a case through, but that nobody really wanted to pay a lawyer to do, and that frankly lawyers didn't actually need to be the ones doing it. So, you know, cutting out the underbrush there, you know, makes all the sense in the world. But I think I get more excited about the opportunities to do something more valuable, to do something better. And if you could do it faster at the same time, you know, all the better.
You practiced law for 7 years, you said, before
Yes, I did.
we took the dark side of leaving the practice. Let's go back then. Like, that last year of practicing law, what made you leave? Do you
Oh
remember?
man, it was a long journey. I think I decided when I was a summer associate, I didn't want to be a partner in a law firm, and it took me 7 years to figure out a way to get out. And I tried a lot of different things. Oh man, I had a stealth legal tech startup that never made it out of stealth when I was an associate. I thought I was going to go into academia. I mean, just you know, all over the place. And then it was just a random recruiter call that ended up moving me in a totally different direction.
So now full circle, you worked at TR, and then now you're at Gunderson. Like, where do you see this moving forward right now? As you sit back, you see all the vendors that exist. You get to talk to your peers. You have you're forward thinking. The firm sees a lot of technology outside of legal, part of the fund that the firm has. Where do you see this kind of evolving for our industry? Like, if you had to put an 18-month flag out there, what's that feel like for us?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's going to be significant changes. I mean, the time is always the, like, you know, is it 18 months? Is it 2 years? 3 years? I don't know. But, you know, I do feel like there's significant change coming. I think that law firms and lawyers, because of the way that we price and the way that we talk about what we do, we've really muddled the value proposition. I think there are reasons. Frankly, transactional lawyers are completely unnecessary.
Mm-hmm.
Parties could just contract by themselves. We're not going to court. We don't have to be licensed. There's nothing preventing big businesses from just, you know, doing all of the things that they do without lawyers. So there is some value proposition. We must be doing something. Right. And I think that a key thing for law firms to do to navigate whatever this transition is, and the business disruption and the business model disruption, is to reframe what is the value proposition? What is it that we're doing that clients really like, and then to double down on that.
Yeah.
Because I think it's there. I just think it's gotten really muddled in the way that we.
Yeah, I keep thinking if all the firms eventually will have a similar tech stack or similar access to frontier models, what really is the differentiating factors between firm A, B, and C? Like, what are we really harnessing? Now, today we can say it's experience of partners. They've been around for 30 years. They're really smart. They're forward thinking. 10 years from now, those partners have retired. What are you backfilling that experience with, right? Because if you're using the frontier models for most of the work, what is that experience? Like, why would you hire anybody at that point? That's
this is one of the things that keeps me up at night. You know, where do the partners come from when we, you know, kill all the associates? No, I think that, I think there are two things really that kind of will differentiate firms. I think that, you know, the data and kind of the unique proprietary data and experience that the firms have captured over the years and that you're helping them structure and organize and be able to leverage with AI is a differentiator. And I think the relationships, relationships are hard to build. AI native law firms that are kind of coming out of nowhere, like, you know, they're starting from a standstill on both the data and the relationship elements of that. And so I think those are actually the most kind of durable competitive advantages that these organizations have. But obviously it depends on the people and keeping the people and having the people draw the clients and continue that cycle. And so for that, I think it's really, you know, being way more intentional about how we create senior lawyers. Right now, it's just a byproduct. It's an exhaust that you throw a young lawyer into a 10,000-hour meat grinder, and then they just hopefully come out, you know, either they went somewhere else or they became, you know, a fully functioning senior lawyer. We're gonna have to be way more intentional about that. We're gonna have to design really thoughtful, kind of pedagogically effective simulations, and then your conversations, your you know, shadowing, watching the senior lawyer do what they do. That's how you learn. That's always been the way it's been, but you know, the business model has been that, you know, in order to do that, then we charge you out for a bunch of money, and you know, that part of it is.
And we're talking about how much, like, the news now about lateral movements of partners. It's like, it's really rampant right now. Everybody's just trying to get the next dollar to survive. The experience is just traveling around, right? You're not getting any sort of like core knowledge
Yeah.
or that value statement of the firm is getting diluted everywhere, right?
Yeah, and it used to be when relationships were institutional to a firm, not to a partner, that those firms had something that they call firm specific capital, right? Like that's an asset of the firm. And then it shifted to being assets of the individual partners who could kind of take those relationships anywhere. I think with these platforms, we may start seeing a shift back.
Yeah.
You have these relationships, but if law firms can build platforms that actually are differentiated in some way and sticky because they're providing, a package and kind of stitching these things together in a way that really solves clients' needs, it's harder for a partner to just go shift that to another platform.
Yeah. Last question, because it's top of mind. If you were to survey the clients of Gunderson and say, over the last 18 months, how's client service improved? Is it different? What do you think they would say?
I do think that our clients, nowhere, I don't think they would say it's different nearly enough as much as I would like.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the things that are still happening are happening, kind of behind the scenes in ways that are a little bit invisible. We have a number of client-facing, innovations and things that we've rolled out to them that they love and are used by thousands of
Right.
of our companies. But I think that so much of what's happening now, I think both in the impact on the business, and in the kind of the client seeing, clients really like feeling it.
Yeah.
I think we're still kind of in the early days.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks for sharing your perspectives there.
you
Thank
bet.
you. Okay, I think Joe and the firm are actually really top tier here for what they're doing and how they approach it. A lot of it's because he's been in seat for 7 years and, as you mentioned, an early thinker of how to take these. But the firm itself is also structured differently. It's already innovative. It has a fund. It invests in early startups, and it sees a lot of. And I think it's a good, if you have a chance to talk to him about your own practice and where you could invest, I think it's a really smart conversation to have. I know he's never busy, so you can always find him available. One thing I think we're past this point, but I'll share this. I think, yes, this does exist, right? We do see this rise of wrappers still, but I think we're getting smart enough now to say that's not where we want to be, whether it's at Litera or at the firm. You don't want to have someone that's just putting something on top of Claude. Claude is getting so much better every day. 4.6 is a beast, and then you see OpenAI launched their model. Like it's just a constant race. So I feel pretty good that generally you all understand the wrapper model is just not the way to go, right? You need substantive workflows that are embedded, that work, and they have to provide real significant value. And so I want to share quickly our first 100 days of Lito, because we view us as a not wrapper because it is leveraging all of our rule-based engines. It's only been up for 100 days. And it has significant amount of usage already. We have roughly 1,000 accounts active on a monthly basis already. Our weekly users over monthly are roughly 50%, and it continues to grow. I obsess over this. I have a daily stand-up with the team on this. It's rare to see a CEO really get into the weeds on this type of work, but we are aggressively saying there is huge ROI for something you already have, and let's really get into the weeds. Make it the ROI real for you. So as of right now, we're seeing mostly small and medium-sized law firms and corporates. I think if you guys fill out the survey, we'll buy you lunch from DoorDash, and DoorDash is one of our biggest users of Lito, right? When I look at user accounts, DoorDash is beating us up every day, which is a great spot. They're in the Bay Area. Why would they use us? They have access to all the other cool VC-backed products, but we are heavily used. So the first 100 days, if you take these stats that we have, you break it down and look at where other agentic tools are, our stats are roughly where most companies were the first year. So a year from now, I'm really excited to see where Lito gets to. It could really surpass users because remember, we have somewhere around a couple million users of Litera products. And once they all get activated and excited, this thing moves really fast. I'll take it one step further and talk specifically about the compare workflow. One of the things I wanted to do when I heard that most partners and lawyers, when asked what their favorite tool was compare, is like, what can we do to displace ourselves? What can Litera do to make compare the old way, an obsolete version of doing compare? Today, compare, if I asked you how long it would take, you would think of just the actual act of comparing, but the workflow itself takes 5 hours, right? On some days. Large document sets, 400 pages, you're comparing documents, your associate reads the red lines, writes a summary, thinks about it, emails a partner, they talk about it, They do a risk analysis, they find other clauses. That whole thing can take 5 hours. And having done that, it's one of the reasons you quit the practice of law. I was talking to someone yesterday about this, and that gentleman was like, he is pre-Litera compare lawyer, so 35 years ago, and he remembers using a ruler and an actual red line. And that's how our product got built, right? We mirrored the workflows and the colors that lawyers were already using. And that was the old way. And we got Litera compare out, and that was a huge thing that happened 30 years ago. The new way of doing this is leveraging all the same rule-based engines. We do all the same document types. We still produce the market-accepted outputs. And when I say market-accepted outputs, I know I have friends that are VCs and at PEs. If they don't see a Litera compare attached to an email, they ask more questions. They're so used to seeing it. It's a validation that the firm is doing things the right way. What we've done is we've taken out all of the middle parts that attorneys do. We've automated it with Gen AI because that's a safe spot for us to use Gen AI. It's highly, highly accurate, and the risks are super, super, super low. We catch almost everything in there, and it gets better and better. And the real thing is we've saved almost 5 hours in the entire workflow, right? This is available today, and it comes with 100% accuracy. So Litera does, and I verified this again this morning because it's always an amazing number, we do 10 million comparisons a month, right? That's how much comes through what we can see. There's a lot of firms that don't share their usage data, so this number could be even bigger. But we know for a fact at least 10 million comparisons happen a month throughout the ecosystem. And as being a marketing-led CEO, let's put 5 hours of savings on all of those compares. There's roughly 50 million hours a month of legal work available to the industry. And all you have to do is turn it on. You have access to it today, right? This is available to all drafting customers right now. And that alone right there is a reason to work with Lito, to find those savings. If a lawyer saw this workflow with Lito and said, it's available and you're not giving it to them, I think it's a hard conversation to have, right? They have access to the summaries, the risk analysis, and you're not giving it to them. That's a tough conversation to have. So I'll give you a quick peek into what Compare feels like leveraging Lito, right? You can do all this stuff inside Microsoft Word as much as you want. If you want to pop it out to a web interface, you're able to really dive in deep and look at all the risks. And the risks that we do, this question came up from our CAB. Why are you giving us the risk analysis? That's why we pay lawyers. They go out and find the risk. We're just highlighting every comparison that you've done and using Gen AI giving a flag. You don't have to say the risk is right. You still read it. We're not taking the human out of it. We're just helping you identify the risk. We're giving you options to make the risk get better. We're leveraging your precedent in the past. So for me, that's the unlock, right? How do you take existing product and supercharge it with Gen AI versus just building something net new that someone else already has? And so if you come into Lito with that angle, you'll find usage, adoption, ROI pretty much within a couple minutes. It's a pretty fast way to get into it, and it's done well, right? We've had it validated and tested, and it keeps winning awards. And again, we're only 100 days in. I saw some recent releases that are coming from my CTO. He sent a video. So there are some really cool things that we're doing that leapfrog the competition because, again, we're leveraging all of our rule-based engines. Along the way, we've talked a lot about how we integrate internally really well. This is our current ecosystem of integrations, right? We integrate with a lot of other software companies. Oftentimes you're surprised to see someone up here because they're a competitor of ours. We still integrate. We think we have to be the best partner in the ecosystem. And we're getting really aggressive going forward. So we announced this Monday, we've integrated with MidPage. MidPage is an AI-focused case law statute research product focused on the US today. The whole market crash happened when Claude announced that they integrated with MidPage. So I think we've gone past that point. It's also part of Perplexity, and it's our backbone for now. We're going to look for other research products to integrate with as well. And the list is pretty massive of the technology we're looking at to bring into if there's vendors you think should partner with us, reach out. We're opening the doors to all integrations at this point. So I'll leave you with this. I always challenge in conversations now, you're at this event, you're spending 3 days here. when you go back, what are you going to change? Like, why come to something like this? Why come to talk to us? Why talk to any vendor? Why talk to your peers? Why go to sessions if you don't change something, right? So my challenge is to forget Litera. If you don't want to change with us, that's fine. But what are you going to do to improve your client service, right? What are you and the firm going to do to make this a better industry that survives long term? Because if you think 5 or 10 years out, dystopian ways, like it gets pretty dark, right? It gets kind of hairy. Like, how is this going to survive? But I think if you engage with your clients and keep that top of mind and not think about profits and not think about billable hours always, I think you have a chance to build something here that can last. So I'll leave this up here as a challenge. You all have these cards. Please take that survey. It helps us think about product differently, and we'll buy you lunch for it. And thanks for coming. Appreciate it.